9th of January, 1945. Tuesday.
Eva Kenda, 18 years old. Pest, District 13. In the morning, armed Arrow Cross men with armbands burst into the gate of the house on Legrady Caroli Street, pounding loudly and shouting for all Jews to come down to the street. Except for my grandmother, we all began preparing. We put on every warm piece of clothing we had, grabbed a few remaining blankets, and some of the scarce food left in the apartment, and went down to the gate. My 87-year-old grandmother, who was no longer able to walk in the street, had to be left behind with great apprehension. We had no other choice. We left her with just enough food to last for a few days, and tried to explain the situation to her, which wasn't easy. Then we left her alone, along with the other elderly residents of the building. The Arrow Cross men themselves shouted that the very old should stay in their apartments. The procession waiting in front of the house resembled the one from 2 days earlier, only much larger. Several hundred protected Jews with yellow stars were being herded from Uchla Potvoros toward the closed ghetto. Along the way, many other groups joined ours. There were rumors that the Arrow Cross planned to kill us on the spot. The masses were not only guarded and directed by Arrow Cross members but also by regular police officers, likely because the Arrow Cross forces alone wouldn't have been sufficient for the task. We, wearing yellow stars, walked in long lines down the roadway. Quite a few onlookers watched from the sidewalk. During the march, my father urged me to try to escape. Together, we came up with a plan for where I might hide this time. He and Peter couldn't attempt the same, as their bruised and battered faces would have drawn too much attention. Near Kaczynski Street, when neither the Arrow Cross men nor the police were looking, I darted onto the sidewalk, covering my yellow star with something, and walked briskly, but not running, in the opposite direction. I successfully made my way back to Uchla Potvoros and rang the bell at a Swedish protected house on Katona Joseph Street, where 2 friends, or rather good acquaintances, lived. Without a word or papers, they took me in.
Borbala Sabo, 28 years old, corset maker. Pest, District 7, Ghetto. We haven't received bread for about 5 or 6 days now. Today, the bakery hinted that we could get a loaf of bread in exchange for a wristwatch. So, we went there, but the deal couldn't go through because their bread rations had been reduced as well, and they couldn't spare any. So, that fell through. Now, I'll try to send another letter to my friend, hoping she might be able to send something. We still have 1 can of meat left. Maybe tomorrow we can trade it for some kind of stew or vegetable dish. They say that out in the city, people are offering 250 pengos for a loaf of bread, but there isn't any. 1 kilogram of bread in 1943 cost 58 filler. Inside the ghetto, there's no bread because the Arrow Cross keeps taking the flour supplies. And the Russians? They're in no hurry. They can afford to wait until the city is in a state of total famine, and then they'll intensify their pressure. By then, the city will easily fall into their lap, filled with hollow-eyed people.
Lajos Nagy,
61-year-old writer, bookstore owner. Pest, District 6. The mood is volatile. The Germans who reportedly retook Bixk and Esztergom are nowhere to be seen. Sighs of relief escape from people. Mrs. G went out for bread. She just returned and told us that large groups of Jews are being taken from the protected houses to the ghetto. What are they planning with this ghetto? Certainly nothing good, that much is clear. They must have some sinister purpose. One cannot help but think they intend to kill the Jews. I was dumbfounded in early December when I saw them boarding up the streets leading to the ghetto. I concluded they had completely lost their minds. And anyone who supports them, anyone who follows them, is just as mad. Even the laborer hammering the boards is insane. I know almost nothing about the outside world. I don't know what has happened to my brother and his family. Nor to my wife's family. All I can say sounds like something a priest might say: we all have to die, and it almost doesn't matter how it happens, whether sadistic fellow humans kill us or some deadly disease. What I don't add is, the ways of the Lord are mysterious. My wife said, "It's good your mother died." She passed away in time, she didn't have to live through this. I hear that Arrow Cross members were searching for Jews hiding in a house on Yevush Street. They found one. They started to take him away, but shot him dead right at the gate.
Gábor Sztehlo.
35-year-old Lutheran pastor. In the fall of 1944, with the support of the International Red Cross, he established 32 children's homes for persecuted individuals within a few weeks. Buda, District 2, Lorantfai Street. In the evening, the German major came by to say goodbye. He was being transferred to a front section near Keleti Railway Station. He was resigned and sorrowful, fully aware of the futility of the fight. However, he reassured us not to be afraid, as the Russians wouldn't harm children, nor adults who hadn't fought against them. And the presence of a large group of children was the best protection of all. He knew very well what kind of children we were saving, and he approved of it. He despised racial theories and persecution, and he hoped that my wards and I would survive these difficult days unharmed. He warned us, though, about a young lieutenant stationed at the Barmadas Reformed High School, Lorantfai Street, District 2. This man thought differently, he hated both Hungarians and Jews, and we mustn't let him into the cellar. To ensure our safety, the major had entrusted Lieutenant Koenig, a young officer from Vienna, with keeping an eye on us and preventing the other lieutenant from causing us any trouble. After offering us his well-meaning advice, the major stood up, raised a wine glass to toast us, shook our hands in silence, and left. Shortly after his departure, 4 of his soldiers brought us 2 baskets of food. We were saved for 2 days. He sent word that if possible, he would send a small vehicle, and Lieutenant Koenig would direct it to us. With that, we could retrieve supplies available in the castle district.